We are live, 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 live. It is Thursday, February 27, 2025. Welcome into the Coach and Bro Show, part of the BTT Studios universe. We are live every single Monday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also catch the show on demand at any time on our YouTube channel. Now, we got a lot to talk about. If you're coming and checking us out, we love that. If you're looking for us to break down segment by segment by segment, that's not what we do here. We take on the bigger topics. If it addresses with the show, then fantastic. If not, we have a ton of experience in the pro wrestling business. My partner can't do without him. From russosbrand.com, let's bring him in right now. Looking glorious on this Thursday afternoon. Hello, sir.
What is going on, Coach? A lot of news out there, a lot of going on. We're headed to the Elimination Chamber. We're here with our people, and if anybody wants to get involved in this conversation, you could do it through super stickers and donations. We will throw you right up on the screen and address anything you have for the coach and I.
100%. We always go for maybe 40 to 50 minutes, but that's how you can be a part of the show. Also, do not forget, we have 3 different premium member tiers. We will have a live watch along this Saturday if you are a premium member. Me, Big Tommy C, Raphael. The last match will log on live. Because, Vince, if you think for a second I'm doing a 5-hour watch along, you are out of your mind. Would you ever do that?
Coach, I do the same thing every Raw and SmackDown. The last 30 minutes of the show, I'll get on Twitch and X because I am not sitting through a 3-hour watch along, man. Never.
Oh, my God. We had Victoria on The Last Word this past Monday on Stadium, and she was blown away at how now when you get towards that 3-hour mark, it just kind of, she's like, man, this feels long. And I said, we've been saying that for months and months that they continue. And that's what we're going to start this week with the topics, because there's been a lot of, I hate to say it, but negativity around WWE. And it's not even necessarily, Vince, about the characters in the show. So let's start with this. We know Elimination Chamber 2 days away. So last week, and I thought it was a little bit ironic that we found out just a couple of days before SmackDown that The Rock was going to be at SmackDown. He shows up, makes the announcement, oh, WrestleMania is coming here next year. It made sense. But when you look a little bit deeper, they were over 1,000 tickets short just a day or two before this event. And then they advertise The Rock, and then they sell almost to a sellout. There were still empty seats. But my point is this: at the most important time of their year, the price gouging and all of this is starting to affect the shows because The Rock has to show up to sell SmackDown tickets. That's what it looks like now when you look at the totality. This is starting to become an issue, Vince.
It really is, Coach. And, again, it's, listen, man, I like to consider myself a blue collar guy. I was never a corporate guy. I was never a white collar. I was never a corner office guy. My point is, as a blue collar guy, a lot of my friends are blue collar people. Those are the people I really respect. And I can't tell you, Coach, how many fathers have had conversations with me about no longer being able to afford to bring their kids to WWE. And I'm not just talking about one person. I'm talking about 5, 6, 7 people have told me their concerns with that. And, you go across the nation with that, they are outpricing themselves for the Coach, my son was just telling me yesterday, my son's a huge Neil Young fan. Mm-hmm. And, Neil Young, this may be his very last tour. So my son is thinking about driving 4 hours to see Neil Young. Coach, Neil Young is charging $150 for a ticket. I'm sorry, but I think Neil Young is way more over than the WWE. You can afford to go see Neil Young for $150. Man, these packages here, Coach, they start at $1,600 for what?
Well, there's there's a lot to unpack when you're talking about what they're trying to do. And I have an algorithm. I sent you we don't have time to show the video here on the show, but there's some really good I don't know, content creators, I guess, Vince, that will do the whole video with like the green screen be behind them. And I just got a note from Raphael. He was at the show last week. He said it was about 85 to 90% full. So even with The Rock advertised, they did not sell out SmackDown last week in New Orleans. So I completely just lost my train of thought, Vince. What was I just talking about? Literally.
You were talking about attendance. You were talking about the graph behind the people. They were
Oh, there
doing
you go.
the
Yeah.
show.
So I may retweet this on Twitter because this kid did a deep dive at the long-term effects of what TKO is trying to do. And the long-term effects, you might be able to put a Band-Aid, Vince, and have The Rock show up and say, oh, yeah, he's coming to announce WrestleMania. We already knew that WrestleMania was going to be in New Orleans. It was the worst kept secret ever. So you're not always going to have The Rock to call and say, hey, let's call in the lefty. We got to sell some tickets when you're heading into the most important 8 weeks of the year. And the next 4 weeks, Vince, are going to be overseas for TVs. So right now they're teetering, and then you got the pressure of Netflix. I think right now that they're really starting to feel the pressure. Then don't get me started on all the bonuses that is sure to uplift all of the company morale at TKO, WWE, and UFC right now.
Yeah, I mean, Coach, you know what it is, man. The rich get richer. I mean, that's what it's all about. The rich get richer. And listen, I don't know how Ari Emanuel works, but you and I both know how Vince McMahon works. And, Vince McMahon's mentality was anybody can be replaced.
100%.
Anybody can be replaced. And it just looks to me, man, the treatment that the WWE employees seem to be getting, it seems to me like it might be the same exact mindset with Ari Emanuel.
When you work at WWE as long as you and I did, I was in the building over 10 years in my first run. There's still a lot of people there that have made it their careers. Tommy was at 32 years. His wife, 36 years. That was one thing, whether you don't like Vince for some reason or you do. The point is that he did allow us to treat it like it was a family atmosphere, but at the same time saying, if you want to get over your skis, you can be replaced, as you just said, Vince. But now I've got it on good authority that after this $5 billion deal is announced, and after all of these, man, we had the best quarter of our lives, and you're going to cancel all the house shows, which I, I can't even begin to wonder what Vince's reaction would be to that. That used to be the lifeblood, but apparently, according to sources for TKO and that company, they don't make a big enough profit, Vince, on the house shows to continue to do them 3 days a week. When I was there, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You do Raw on Monday, and then the other two are Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That is no longer the case. So I think we're going to start to see less and less superstars get that really big money as well. Because if they're not doing house shows and you're only on TV, this is going to have a trickle-down effect for so much, Vince, that I don't think people are thinking about it.
And Coach, there's more to it than that too, because you and I both know the house shows is where the talent gets their reps in.
Yes.
Bro, I'm seeing a lot of talent on Monday and Friday that need to get reps in. I'm seeing it. Every single week, there's a lot of sloppy work. Yep. And if there's no place for them to get their reps in, for them to work on weekends, not get rusty, we're going to start seeing that more and more in the product as well.
And so you wonder if, because you know this, Vince, the guys that I see on CNBC from TKO, the money guys who they're not at the Performance Center. They're probably not at TVs hardly ever. And this is not an insult to them. This would be anybody. If you don't know the business and you don't know what is at the core of this business, all you're looking at is the bottom line. And now you've got guys like The Rock who are on the board of directors, and he reportedly got 30 million. Then they gave him another 15 or 20 million. It's in his best interest to make this thing work as well. And I saw you on one of your other shows. You said the WWE, because of lack of creativity, and correct me if I'm wrong, they are now resorting to trying to duplicate one of the biggest times in the business, and that was when Vince and Stone Cold Steve Austin had their thing. But it has to feel right. And we both agree that what Rock did Friday, and I'm his biggest fan, that felt weird to me. It didn't feel like a corporate guy and a worker in Cody. Did it feel weird to you?
Well, Coach, it's not only it has to be right. The most important thing, especially to me as a writer, but to me as a television viewer, it's got to make sense. When I'm watching something and I'm investing my time, it's got to make sense to me. Because if it doesn't make sense to me, then I don't care. And McMahon and Austin made all the sense in the world. This storyline that they're talking about, Coach, right now, it makes no sense. And people are telling me, oh, Vince, give it time, give it time. People inside of the business need to understand, Coach, casual fans are not going to give it the time. They're not wrestling marks where they're going to watch every single show and all the content that the rest of the WWE puts out there. If they watch one show and two shows and they're lost, they're gone. So don't think the average television viewer has patience where they're going to sit there through 6 weeks of programming for something to finally make sense. It doesn't work that way, Coach.
Facts, first and foremost. The second thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, when Vince and Stone Cold had their incredible run as rivals, Vince was there every single week on TV.
Yep.
Rock is promoting Disney, and I don't know if you saw this, but his $7 production has now entered into a partnership with the Walt Disney Company. And so he is now underneath that. Great for him, great for his business, and great, I guess, for moviegoers. But there is no way, Vince, that with the Martin Scorsese movie coming up and with everything he's doing with $7 and trying to deal and make sure that all this stuff stays on the straight and narrow, he's not going to Europe for 4 TVs, is he? That's not going to happen.
Coach, listen, we were there. We know how it worked under the regime of Vince. And Coach, I'll be honest, that's why I only lasted 5 years in that system. What was Vince? If WWE is not number one in your life, and I'm meaning family being a distant second, guess what? You ain't working there. WWE needed to be every single thing in your life. And I could tell you, when I was writing Austin and McMahon, Coach, you said Vince was there every week. Austin never missed a show. You think Vince would have stood for Austin missing 1 week because he had to go shoot at Nash Bridges? Austin would know better than to ever even suggest that. I can't imagine the mindset of Vince McMahon if he's working with The Rock now and Rock's in the only storyline and Rock's coming in and out every 4 weeks. I can't imagine that, Coach.
We used to be terrified
Yep.
at the thought of missing a show. I love when I hear, to a certain extent, superstars now go, man, it's so different now. Triple H cares about us. He gives us time off. Well, if I'm in a top storyline and I understand that it could end at any moment, it could fall off the cliff at any moment, I don't want to miss any shows. I don't want to, if I'm in a red hot storyline like this, you're not getting me to miss any weeks. Let me do that in June or July when you really don't need me. But Vince, right now, if I'm a top superstar, I've got the mindset of a Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is like, send me, I'll do it. Because he understands the more he does, the more valuable he is, the more money he's going to make. And that's if you're a top guy. If you're just a middle guy and you don't have house shows, you don't have all this kind of stuff, Vince, it doesn't even matter if what they write is realistic. none of these superstars are even going to get the reps. So to your point, if you're only having a match once every 3 or 4 weeks, the whole business could crumble from the inside out. But it's not like anybody sees it. And when people with credibility like me and you say it, we're crazy. That's nuts. We just signed a $5 billion deal. I don't care. Now you got to deliver on it.
And coach, what are we talking about here? We are talking about, okay, let's put Ari Emanuel in Vince McMahon's shoes right now.
Okay, let's do that.
Ari Emanuel is doing the same thing The Rock is doing. He's got a career in Hollywood. He's got UFC. He's got this over there. Vince had the WWE, period. That was it. That was his life. That was his commitment. That was his dedication. So this isn't just about Rock coming and going. You've got the owner of that company that, has his hands in 20 other things.
20 is funny you use that number, Vince, because that is the number in millions of dollars that Ari Emanuel has set up in his executive bonus program. So he's building this company. And the one thing, because I'm what, 8 or 9 months into BTT and trying to be a leader, trying all this, it's hard. It's really, really hard. You do it yourself at russosbrand.com. So we're only a few months into this. The last thing that I'm going to do if I want people to build this company up, and they just bought the WWE in the last 3 to 4 years. So you're going to take $20 million. Nick Khan, who's the president, I think got $15 million in cash in his bonus. Triple H got $5 million for his bonus. And I know a lot of companies have an executive bonus program. But Vince, when you couple that with no promotions, when you couple that with 3% raises for people who have lived and dedicated their lives to this company, when you're working a Friday night till 8 or 9 o'clock just to get that done for a Saturday, and you don't get more than 3%, and you got people that are paying out 50, 60, $80 million in bonuses, that just, I understand why morale is low coming out of the WWE building. I've heard it's awful, but I can't blame them if this is really the case.
Yeah, Coach, I can tell you this. Listen, man, I got into the video business, the video store business, right at mom and pop. At mom and pop. That's where I got in, okay? And I was thriving. And of course, before I was driving, what happened? Across the street from one shop, down the street from the other, Blockbuster. And this mega corporation, mega giant, took over and put every mom and pop out of business. Coach, what happened to Blockbuster?
They passed on a $50 million deal to purchase Netflix. And after that, they went out of business.
And I'm telling you guys, and I don't know if I brought it up on this show, Coach. I think I did. But listen, man, we just saw ESPN opt out of the contract with Major League Baseball that still had 3 years left on it.
Yes.
So if you don't think for a second there aren't loopholes in these contracts with the Netflix, and Coach, 2.9 million people globally, and you're number 10th in Netflix, number 10?
Is that what they are now, number 10?
Number 10 this past week. And if you don't think Netflix doesn't have an opt-out, now don't get, me and Coach have been saying this all along.
Correct, 100%.
There's 15 morons lining up that'll give them the money once, Netflix pulls the plug. They did that with Fox. But the fact of the matter is, man, they're sitting pretty on these television deals. These television deals are not guarantees, Coach.
Oh, no. The guarantee is give me a good storyline, and you have to – I hate complacency.
Yes.
And this is the one thing that I've dealt with the last 4 or 5 years as this business evolves. You got a lot of people who are very complacent. And Vince, I believe you were the first one to say it, that when you get your money first instead of earning it, when you leave the pay-per-view model, and Vince, for probably the first 5 or 6 years, even when I became a heel, I still did every Friday of a pay-per-view week that hard sell video this Sunday night, live on pay-per-view, blah, 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 blah. We earned that. We wanted people paying that $69.95. Now that that whole business model has changed, I think it's affected them because let's be honest, Vince, when somebody retires and they turn it off and they go, man, I'm done. I put in all the work. That's what it kind of feels like that WWE is doing. They get the money and now they're like, okay, now we're doing great on A&E. So let's talk about A&E instead of our bread and butter shows of Raw and SmackDown. The shows in A&E are fantastic. Nobody does those better. But the core of this business, Vince, is Raw and SmackDown and NXT. And if people stop buying tickets, it goes down very quickly. It happened in 2002. Vince, I went out to cut a promo in Nashville in a 20,000 seat arena. There was 2,200 people there, and I had to cut it to an empty side of the arena. And when I tell you it's the worst thing ever as a performer, it's the worst thing ever. They're headed towards this, and they could still have busy WrestleManias and they're adding multiple nights. I heard Vince, they're talking about moving to a second night of Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I heard that too. Coach, listen, man, you cover sports. This is what you do for a living. You've been doing this for decades and decades. Bro, one thing a lot of people are not talking about, there are a lot of similarities. Coach, every single day I'm hearing not only the talking heads, but I'm hearing former players more and more and more talk out about the NBA. And what are they saying about the NBA and how much the game has changed and what has changed it? What they're all saying is the guaranteed contracts and the big money. These guys have already been paid. So what do they do, Coach? Let's dribble up to the three-point line. Let's throw up a three-pointer. We make it great. We don't. We'll drop back on defense. That has changed the game. You talk about complacency. It's the same thing here. They've been paid their money. They're going through the motions because no matter how many points they put in, the money is guaranteed. I am seeing so many similarities. The only thing you're not seeing, Coach, is in the NBA, you're hearing this from all the former players. Former wrestlers don't talk about this like you and I do, Coach, because they got that one last run, man. They got that one last run, and they're waiting to get that call. So that's the last thing they're going to do. But former NBA players know we're retired, we're done. So we're going to tell you what we really think. That's the only difference.
It's very, very similar. And I thought if people haven't seen this, it wasn't a rant, but it was a take. PK Subban, he was a black NHL hockey player. He had this incredible take on the nation's tournament that happened last week. Ratings were incredible. The betting on it was incredible. And it was, high level NHL players playing like it was the Stanley Cup Finals. And it wasn't. And he was like, what are we doing? And I know everything is money makes the world go round. I'm not stupid naive, neither are you. And I understand wanting to get every last dollar, whether you're a wrestler but he said, what are we doing this for? Because at the end of the day, I always use this Denzel Washington quote. You don't see a U-Haul truck behind a hearse, meaning you can't take any of it with you, but you can take the memories. You can take all of those experiences that I absolutely mean the world to me from my time in the WWE. But Vince, why are we not doing this a little bit for the love of the game? Right. When The Rock has done many, many interviews, like, man, I grew up in this business. My whole world is this business. Then you see the likes of Roman Reigns, same thing as The Rock. To me, where is the love of the game? But when you're working for people who it's about the everlasting dollar, and every time you see them on CNBC, and I hope they see this because this is not a negative towards you. I want this business to thrive, but you can't. And I don't know how they don't see it, Vince. The amounts that they're raising this stuff to and everything, all the stuff they're asking for, to me, it's just crazy. It goes beyond the whole blockbuster thought. It's like you're literally trying to ruin the business, but they're in Hollywood. They don't see it. And this next topic will play into that. They're talking about potentially turning Cena heel, Cody potentially heel, or CM Punk potentially heel. Vince, when you were there, even right now, when you've got a babyface selling merchandise at the level of these three, does it make sense for any of them to be turned heel?
It doesn't make sense for any of them to turn heel, Coach. And on top of that, you have to be very, very careful because they've already handed the power over to the fans, the marks. They've handed the power over to the marks a long time ago. So if you make CM Punk corporate a sellout, are you that sure they're going to boo for CM Punk and cheer Cody? Are you that sure? You've given them the power. You've kowtowed to them now for over a decade. So if you make a move like that, Coach, do you know how quickly that could backfire? The logical thing to do, and the only thing to do to make sense, is the one guy that would be at the head of that list to sell out, and the one guy that they've totally freaking wasted, and this would get him in the position he needs to be in, is Drew McIntyre.
Oh my God!
That's the only guy that makes sense in all of this. All of that other stuff makes no sense, and they may cheer Punk, they may cheer Cena as a heel. They ain't gonna cheer Drew McIntyre. But bro, I'm telling you, from a creative point of view, they are clueless. They don't have a clue, Coach.
Man, you know Drew McIntyre is our favorite here. That dude, in my opinion, should be the guy above all guys. He gets it. He's a good dude, loves kids, the whole thing. So we'll see. And if you're sitting at home going, why is this such a big deal? Understand this. During my first run a few years ago, John Cena, I traveled with him for a few years. He was obsessed with his merchandise. And one day I said, why are you so obsessed with your merchandise, Vince? And he goes, well, Coach, I am supplying 37% of every dollar right now that comes into this company was John Cena merchandise and gear. That's a lot of money because they sell a lot of merchandise, and whatever his percentage was, his checks were ginormous. It's not just turn somebody heel. You got to think of every time they walk into a building right now, Cody Rhodes is the face. He's the guy on the marquee. He's the guy that's out there. And if for some reason, because they've done it with the New Day, and I guarantee you, when the New Day sees those first merchandise checks that come in every 3 months, they're going to be calling each other going, damn, Kofi, did we make the right decision? Holy smokes. Because heels don't sell merch. They just don't.
Yeah.
Unless you're a really cool heel. All right, this is the Coach and Bro Show, and we are brought to you today by Mando at shopmando.com. And I'm going to tell you this right now, that ever since they came on board with me and Vince and I have never smelled better. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to use the code EXPLODES at shopmando.com, and we're going to give you $5 off your starter pack. And that's the equivalent of 40% off your starter pack, whether you want to get your, Vince, this is my favorite few, the bourbon leather body wash. You've got the wipes. You've got the deodorant in a tube or the stick. So you get like 4 or 5 things. I also have the cleansing bar here. Vince, what is your how has your nanny life been since Mando came on board?
I've been carrying on and boasting about my hey nanny, but I may need to do Mando mid-show, Coach, because I'm watching some of these comments and these people are making me sweat it a little. Coach, there was a guy in the chat, Robert. Okay? Coach, he thinks I'm wearing a Walgreens sweatshirt. So he thinks this is and I'm starting to sweat a little bit because you know my love of the game, and this Yahoo thinks this is a Walgreens sweatshirt, Coach. So I am ready to I think I'm going to use the whole body deal. I got Mount Fuji. Here. You know what, Coach? I'm going to do it right here live on the show. Coach, here.
Stop it.
You're
going to put on Mount Fuji?
Get this up. Let me get under here, Coach.
I actually have the Mount Fuji right here. What scares me is I now know what you smell like from 2,000 miles away.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's better. That's better, Coach. Nice. Okay, now I'm good, Coach.
Are you good now?
Carry on, Coach, please.
Okay. Promo code explodes, and you can feel just as good as Vince Russo does right now.
Thank you.
We continue on. And sometimes, Vince, certain people are just the gift that keeps on giving. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So a guy named Christopher Daniels works for AEW, and we are actively, are we not, when you and I speak with Producer Man, we're actively trying to find good, solid content to be positive about either company or TNA or any of the rest of them. But sometimes, Vince, when they just hand you on a silver platter content like what happened last night on AEW Dynamite, well, I could talk about it or we could show it to you. Producer Man, do we have this queued up?
It was all a charade. Wait a second. Oh, God. It was all a charade. Wait a second. Oh, God. It was all a charade. Right. Wait a second. Oh, God.
So what we saw there, and Producer Man slowed it down, is clearly the director, the technical director, the camera guys were not on the same page, because we actually got to see a guy in a backstage segment, no less, gig himself, make himself bleed, and then what could the announcers do? Not their fault. Vince, we've had some close calls over the years, but blatantly on national television, that happened on AEW. Your take?
You know, Coach, I'm going to tell you a couple things. Okay. First of all, you said about we're always looking for the positive spin, this, that, and the other thing. Listen, Coach, with all due respect, I am not a fan of Christopher Daniels. Okay. I have never been a fan of Christopher Daniels. I worked with Christopher Daniels for many years and got sick and tired of Christopher Daniels thinking he knew more than everybody when he obviously didn't. Oh. So I'm not looking to protect Christopher Daniels. Coach, you know what I'm starting to realize, and I want people listening to this show to start looking at these shows and start looking for what Vince is telling you. Mm-hmm. Coach, when you watch these shows, you're seeing two things.
What's that?
You're seeing wrestlers, and then you're seeing those that are playing wrestler. And you can tell the difference a mile away. You can see somebody like a Randy Orton, like a Cody Rhodes, like an AJ Styles that knows what they're doing. But then you've got 50% of the roster that are doing what they saw on television growing up. And bro, it is as clear as day. And what we just saw there was somebody playing wrestler. If you don't, first of all, bro, I don't eat. Can you imagine that being done on Vince McMahon's dime?
That's the first thing I thought.
The producer would have been fired. The talent would have been fired. The cameraman would have been fired. So many people would have been fired for embarrassing him. If you don't know we're going live in 10, 9, 8, 7, what kind of a mamby-pamby organization are you running over there? I mean, my God, Coach, you ever hear the 10-second countdown? I mean, how many 10-second countdowns have you had in your career? We don't know we're going to that 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
All right, there's a few things, too, because I like to educate the audience why we are clearly criticizing them. This was embarrassing.
Coach, I need more deodorant, Coach.
You need more Mount Fuji?
I'm listening. I'm listening, okay. Coach. Go ahead. I'm listening.
So so people are sitting home going, well, what should have happened? So let's walk through it. There's a couple of different ways they could have done this. In the past, if this is something where you just see somebody backstage, you record it and you roll it in. When the guy is live in the ring, you roll it in as live. That way you can shoot it, have it look correct, and you have the pad on the front of it for 15 or 20 seconds, and the producer in the truck knows, okay, this is where we start to come in at this point, and that's when they hit it on the switcher.
And that's also, Coach, not to interrupt you, but that's how you protect talent that promos are not their strong suit. That's how you protect them. We're going to record it. So if we got to do 10 takes, we're going to do 10 takes. You don't put them on live, Coach. Go ahead.
Correct. But if you have to do it live because maybe they were just in the ring or maybe they were just going toe to toe, or you have to do it live, what you do is wait until all of the gigging is done. And then you have a producer standing there with a headset on saying, okay, we're good. Then that's where the communication comes in with gorilla position and the guys in the truck. So then you would also maybe have somebody like Stu, the cameraman who does John Cena's, where, hey, Stu, let's go to work. And you can do the thumbs up into the camera like we're ready, we're good. There's a lot of different ways to protect from that happening, none of which happened last night. And the third thing I thought, Vince, and I hope this is not the case, and I'm not accusing anybody of this, but when you work at a place that a lot of the stories that come out are negative, and maybe I'm not getting paid what I want, the person who switched over to that video early can watch the video, can see what's going on, knows exactly what's in front of them. What about the high level person in the truck who switched it over early? Are they unhappy? Are they trying to get back at the company in some way, shape, or form? I know it sounds crazy, but I've seen and experienced crazier.
Well, Coach, on top of that, what are the repercussions of that? What is Tony Khan really gonna do? I mean, come on, bro. You look at Tony Khan. Whose head is he gonna make roll? Like, really? So think about that, bro. Again, if that's on Vince's dime, you are literally afraid for your job. If somebody gives you the Iggy that Vince wants to see you, bro, you are
done,
clapping your drawers during that walk. What's a Tony Khan going to do? Who's going to be held responsible? What are the ramifications of screwing up like that on national television?
Man, and even if because I've been a part of many scenes like that were actually in front of the live audience that were not backstage, and somebody could say, well, Coach, what if this happened out in front of the live audience? There's been some close calls there too. But what they do in that instance is if somebody gets rolled out and takes a hard one against the stairs or whatever, they will position the talent to do something way away from where that talent is. Mm-hmm. So they have a chance to do it without anybody seeing them. They're okay if you see it from the first row, but you're not switching back to that handheld camera, Vince, until you are 100% sure that that is done, because we know that it is staged. But to see it, Vince, takes all credibility away. What they're trying to position with the MJF and Adam Page storyline, now it's going away because now people are laughing. And they're saying, really? And then you got the announcers going, oh. And there's nothing more embarrassing as an announcer to be calling something you know is bullshit.
Yep.
And you got to call it as if what was supposed to happen instead of that nonsense last night. I would be pissed if I was a part of that segment. And I would start with Christopher Daniels. He's been around way too long for that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Coach, I agree with you. I mean, there's so many levels to prevent that from happening. How you even get into a situation where that's a possibility where they're throwing it to the back, I don't even know how you get to a situation like that.
I don't either. It's lack of experience. It's lack of talking it through. It's lack of communication. And you don't have a good team because in something like that, I've been a part of a million of those, Vince, whether it's a fight back, whatever it is, you got to have a team around you that's thinking about every little freaking detail. Yes. Every detail. It matters. This is at the highest level. This is national television. All right. Coach and Bro Show, also brought to you by WWE Shop. We're an official WWE Shop store affiliate. So all you got to do is scan the QR code that's coming up on your screen right about now. And it didn't come up. But I promise you, it's been at the bottom of the show. You got your QR code. And right now, Penta is the featured superstar, Vince. Penta. So are you going to order your Lucha mask, Vince?
I think I'm going to order. I think I'm going to order 3 of them, Coach. I'll wear every other day except weekends.
All right, one last topic before we get the hell out of here. And again, we are live every single Monday and Thursday right here on the BTT YouTube page at 1 p.m. Eastern time, or watch us on demand. So you might be having a tech issue. I'll throw to this. Hopefully this work. If not, I'll tell you what she said. So recently, Mercedes Mone who has spent the better part, I don't even know how long she's been there, but let's say it's a year or less, talking about how she gets to do so much outside of the company, gets to use the company jet whenever she wants to do everything outside of AEW. So listen to a recent question and answer, Vince, Mercedes Moné on her passion for the business.
Wish wrestling fans knew about you. What do you think it would be?
I don't know. I wish they would know how much I love this and how much it's gonna make me cry, how much I legit love this. I don't know if people ever know how much I love wrestling, you know. I give it everything. It's my whole life. It's my world. I just want fans to know it's like legit my everything. It's why I'm here. To really make a difference in this sport, especially for women. But I just wish fans would know how much I love wrestling and how much passion I have for this.
Yeah.
Coach,
I don't even know where to start.
I know where to start because
Please do.
I got bad news for you, Coach.
What's that?
Do we have like a 3-second delay or something? Coach, I'm sweating so bad now watching that. Coach, I'm ready to use the wipes. Like live. Coach.
Vince, sit down. Sit down.
Coach, I got to tell you something. Guys, whoever is watching this show right now, listen, I'm going to give you a freaking wake-up call. Because, Coach, this slapped me across the face like a ton of bricks yesterday.
How so?
Coach, on my, I watch a lot of YouTube on TV because I got a very short attention span. So give me 5 minutes. Anything over 5 minutes, I ain't watching. So, Coach, you know what happened to come across my screen? Mean Gene with like 5 or 6 interviews in a row.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching Mean Gene with, Macho Man Randy Savage, George the Animal Steel, Don Morocco, Bob Backlund, just the absolute greats of the business, Lou Albano. I'm sitting here and I'm watching these guys that are just so good at what they freaking did, the absolute best in the game. And then I see this. And then I see Sami Zayn crying on freaking Monday. And Coach, I can't connect the dots. I don't know how we got from here to here. I don't. I play it through my mind and I really try to analyze. Bro, there used to be, let's look at Sasha Banks. Let's look at Medusa. Let's look at the Fabulous Moolah. You just had Victoria on the show. We can go on and on and on with the baddest women.
Mm-hmm.
The baddest. Bro, I worked with women that could legitimately kick the ass of guys. ODB. I can go on and on and on. And then I see this. Coach, I'm being totally honest now. When did wrestling become mamby-pamby? That's not what wrestling is supposed to be. It's supposed to be gritty, dirty, sweaty, bloody. That's what it's supposed to be. Every week, there is somebody freaking crying, Coach.
I don't hate where you were going with that. I think that we have a bunch of talent out in this world right now that don't really know, how to play the game, understand in this new realm of social media, and I'm this big star just because I got paid a certain amount of money. And the other part is understanding, Vince, that social media and how you present yourself matters when you're doing a interview like this. So right now, you and I both have an issue with how much they take us behind the scenes, how much that it's the show and then the separate human being. I think right here, Sasha Banks is trying to show us that the person you see on social media that's telling fans to shut up, that's telling fans that I can use the private jet, and then you want us to believe you that this is the business is everything to you and that it's all you think about when you said, I'm allowed to go and do stuff that WWE would not allow me to do, like film TV shows, film movies, anything but show up every single week. Now, she showed up more than some of the WWE stars, but you get my point, is these talent that do this, and I'm sure that it was really crying. I think it was really crying. But it's the message. She was, I wish fans could understand. Then show us. Go back and practice your in-ring work so you're not having bad matches. Go work on your skill level on the mic so you're not saying the same thing for the first 8 weeks you're on AEW television, so now people tune out. They don't want to work on their craft, but they say it's everything to them. Vince, you and I do this every single day. I still practice in front of that mirror every single day on my craft. And when you tell me it's everything to you, I want to see that. Is that too much to ask for a 7-figure superstar?
Yeah, and Coach, you know what it is too? Like, and again, I swear I need to go to a shrink because somebody's got to explain this stuff to me. Here's a part of it too when you talk about social media, Coach. If they're a heel, it doesn't matter. Heel, babyface, it doesn't matter. Here's a big part of it. Coach, they all want to be liked. Why? What, do you know, for every person that likes me, there's probably 3 people that hate me. I don't care. I don't understand the need to be liked and beloved. And that's why heels really go out on the limb, because that's why you see Nia Jax twerking. Because, oh my God, I don't want people to believe I'm really this mean. Nah, look, I'm twerking here with my friends. What is this need to be liked? I don't understand it, Coach. You are not going to please everybody. Not everybody is going to like you. What is this about?
And there are a few people out there that have kind of showed us that if you're a little bit edgy in a good way, that's all right. But I think part of it is, Vince, to be honest with you, is that so much has changed in this business, in the entertainment business, in the television business, that there is an absolute fear of not having tomorrow in what I love to do. And that's at the core of this. And if you're a superstar that has been fired once and come back, now it's even worse because you know how quickly that can happen. We're efforting an interview for the brand with Sonya Deville, who just started a new podcast with her wife. And she said in the first episode, she got a call, Vince, from WWE, and they were in negotiations. And she said, I thought they were going to give me a new number. They told me, we don't need your services anymore. And I want to know what that feeling felt like. I want to know why she's not more pissed, because it completely changes your life on the second. And that's the world that they live in. And they're terrified. They also want to know, where's my, when they grow up doing indie shows, you only get paid by the show. So they're terrified of, am I going to have another paycheck in this business? Or what do I go and do? It's terrifying. I think that's at the core of all of this, at being liked. I really, really do. Does that sound crazy?
It is crazy to me, Coach, because at the end of the day, if you don't have confidence in yourself, then you've got nothing.
That's true.
If you don't look at it when they release you, if you don't look at it like that's their loss and not mine, I am going to go find somebody or work for somebody else or work for myself where they realize what I have and what I bring to the table and they appreciate me. Then that tells me that they tore down any confidence that you had whatsoever, and they succeeded in making you believe that without them, you're absolutely nothing. That's on you. That's on you.
And that's a really hard thing in this world. And this is why I love doing a show with you, is because we can talk about it. Is a lot of times when you're in the pro wrestling business, your identity and your self-worth is directly tied to the character that you are on in the show. And if you're not used and you're sitting around backstage, your self-worth goes very, very, very low. And we've seen bad stories happen over the years. We've seen wrestlers like, how come I'm not being used? How come they're, and they just sit around all day, and it's on both sides of the fence. But the biggest thing I realized, Vince, when I got out of the WWE and went to ESPN, and I thoroughly loved it, and I love sports, and I love mixing the two, is that the coach does not have to be the coach all day, every day. Right. It's not my self-worth. I even got sucked into that because you're doing it 52 weeks a year, and you don't have time to stop and go, you know what? I also have a life outside of here. And so that's why I think in pro wrestling, as opposed to everything else, because everybody else, Vince, they have breaks. They have a chance to go away and not be seen. Wrestling stars don't have that ability. I think there's a lot to it.
Well, maybe now that they're not doing house shows anymore, they could be themselves in their off days. Coach.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure they're all ecstatic about it too. I mean, when they announced that, I was like, if I'm a B-level superstar and I'm not main eventing our PLEs and I'm not a curtain jerker, then what do I have? Yep. Those are brutal. Yep. One last thing, there is an account on X that has about 356,000 followers, fairly large. I see a lot of their stuff called @WrestleOps, and they put in something from Sports Illustrated Wrestling that they came out with the top 10 WWE women's wrestlers in history, Vince. And so I just happened to hit on it. I was like, I'm kind of interested to see what the voting looked like. So, Vince, I'm going to read the top 10 to you, and I know your head is going to be, what? There it is on the screen. So Becky Lynch, who has not wrestled in well over a year, is number 1. Charlotte Flair just made a return, number 2. Trish Stratus, who is back wrestling, she's number 3. Lita, who wrestled with Trish. By the way, me and Trish Stratus started on the exact same day back in 1999. Then you got Sasha Banks at 5. Her best friend, Bayley, who I think her career has been hurt, Vince, because she hangs out with Sasha all the time. Then you got Chyna, the 8th wonder of the world, Chyna, at 7, Asuka 8, Bianca 9, and Alundra Blaze at 10. Anything stick out to you on that list?
Yeah, what sticks out to me is we have to keep reminding ourselves of this, Coach, because we're a little older. I'm much older than you. We have to keep reminding ourselves of this.
What's that?
For people to vote this way, Coach, they didn't see what we saw. What we saw. It's that simple. They didn't see the wrestling we saw. And you've got to take that into consideration. You got a list like this. Sherry Martel wasn't in the top.
No, she's not on this list. Yeah, no Sherry Martel.
The fabulous Moolah,
Who's that?
isn't in the top 10. Alundra Blaze, Deborah Maselli barely makes the list. They didn't see what we saw, Coach. And I have to constantly remind myself of that, constantly.
It is funny. And you couple that with, not only did they not see a lot of the greats, but then they will give their opinions like they're a hardcore, we know everything history fan, which is why you have a show called Castrating the Marks.
Yes.
Because these wrestling marks, and we're not even here to insult them. You don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
You don't know what you don't know. And that list right there is crazy pants to me. Chyna literally revolutionized the wrestling business. Single-handedly did that. So Fabulous Moolah, maybe the most famous and best wrestler of all time. Not even in the top 10.
Yeah.
Not even the top 10. All right, Vince, we are live every Monday and Thursday. Before we get out of here, busy weekend. Also, we're only about 4 weeks away.
I got it, Coach. Let me interrupt you real quick.
Yes.
Somebody just proved my point. Plus, we got a super sticky here. Mike Hawks Long. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Hey, Mike, I'm talking to you. Russo listed 3 valets. Okay, bro. So Sherry Martel was a valet to Mike Hawk. Deborah Maselli, Medusa, was a valet. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Coach. Exactly what I'm talking about.
And you did say Fabulous Moolah, right?
Oh, yeah. She was a great valet back
She was
in
an incredible valet.
Incredible
valet.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. They have no clue what they're talking about. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Coach. Go ahead.
That's okay. Nonsense McGee has a super sticker. He says, Mae Young, Fabulous Moolah, Sensational Sherry, Mildred
Wendy
Burke,
Richter.
Wendy Richter.
Yeah.
All really good right there. By the way, for people who were never around her, Mae Young might be the most "I'll do anything you want me to do" woman I've ever met in my life.
Absolutely.
When she let Bubba Ray power bomb her through a table off the stage, and she was 84 or something like that. I remember during the day when they were looking to practice that, I was like, there's no way she's doing this. Not at 84.
Yeah.
And she demanded it.
Yeah.
She demanded it.
Yeah.
There were some hardcore women back in the day. A little soft these days. Little soft.
Little bit, coach.
Little bit.
Yeah.
Vince, I can't tell you how much I enjoy doing this show with you twice a week. It really is enjoyable, and we are growing by the week. Real quick, tell the good people where they can find all your stuff before we get out of here.
Yeah, guys, I mean, I do numerous podcasts a day. You can get a free week of Russo's brand. Just go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Russo TWC. Get you a free week so you could sample us.
And if you would like to become a premium member here, remember, we will have a live watch along, me, Big Tommy C, and also Raphael taking a little betting the turnbuckle as well for the Elimination Chamber. It's all at our YouTube page. It's all on the screen. Become a part of what we're all doing here. Become a smarter wrestling fan. And you're allowed to have fun. Laugh a little bit. It's not that serious. All right. That's going to do it for today's show. We're back on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. What do you think we'll talk about? Maybe the Chamber.
I think I'm going to talk about Mike Hawks along, whose comeback was, Coach. You ready? You're ready for this, Coach? You guys are just inaccurate. Coach, we're just inaccurate.
Our bad. We'll end it right there. For Vince Russo, for Producer Man.
Walgreens, baby. Walgreens.
I am the Coach. We'll see you Monday right here on the Coach and Bro Show.